July 15th, 2026. Dear loved me. Have you ever received a random call that just made your heart smile? It's as if the universe knew if one more bad thing happened, you wouldn't survive it. In my field of work, the job can be extremely thankless. Upper management doesn't seem to see beyond the insurance money coming in. It's easy to feel beaten down and underappreciated. I have never worked with children for glory or praise. I do it for the love of watching children learn, watching them grow. Today, I was reminded just how much I contribute to someone's life. I was sitting on my desk. I was hanging out with my kid. We were having a really good day. He went off to his room, and all of a sudden I got a phone call from one of my kiddos. And the smile on her face just made my day. She had written me 2 letters for her discharge date. The idea was that I was supposed to be there to receive said letters. Unfortunately, I wasn't. But she got to read them to me today. And they were so touching. I could tell that she took the time to write them, to process her feelings, and to get them out. She and I had something in common, our relationships with our mom. They weren't the easiest relationships, but they existed, and we did with that as we could. So, hearing her call me and tell me how much she missed me and how influential I was in her life really made a huge difference. And then I started thinking about how else I may have affected children that I've come across. My son today spent most of the day hanging out with me. And while as parents we could acknowledge that's a different thing for our teenagers to do, it's even more special that he does it. He acknowledged when he first moved into my house that he generally just hangs out in his bedroom, that we shouldn't expect to see him much. And I was prepared for that. It wasn't my favorite thing to hear, but I understood it. You sit where you're safe. And slowly but surely, his safe space became the house. I'd come home from work and he'd be on the couch and I'd look at him and go, "Do you know where you are?" And he'd look at me and laugh and said, "Yes, I know where I am." And it was just a joke. Today, we were all sitting on the couch and we were talking about the incident from yesterday where I wanted to rip out someone's hair, but I didn't. I kept my composure as best as I could. And we were just kind of going over the events of what happened. And then my husband got up and he walked out of the room. But not before I asked, what everybody had planned for today. And my husband said he's got stuff in his office to work on. And I looked at my kid and was like, "Well, what do you have planned?" And my next question was going to be, "Do you plan on sitting out here?" But before I could ask that question, his response was, "I don't know, but I'm staying out here." Nice. So we have started watching together Love Island. And I don't know how anybody can make it through multiple episodes of that show at one time. But right now, that would be considered our guilty pleasure. Not because we enjoy the show. We enjoy watching the show and trying to figure out what mental illnesses these people clearly must have. And that's not a judgment. It's just does she recognize that everything she says she doesn't like to happen, she literally does? Does he realize that he presented himself as a cheater, so his partner sees him as a cheater? And so we joke and we laugh about it, and we talk about how finding love is an interesting concept. I can't imagine trying to find love on a TV show. I can't imagine finding love on a TV show where everybody is going after the same people. He and I are very open about our experiences and our thought process, what we like and what we don't like. And while neither of us are against the PDA from a certain standpoint, the idea of swapping spit with 6 strangers back to back to back leaves something in your mouth. Literally. The idea, it grosses me out. I don't mean to yuck your yum. If that is your thing. The idea of someone spit in my mouth, it's hard enough to, like, wrap my head around. But now you want me to put several people's spit in my... I digress. It's just weird. And so he and I, we sit there and we talk about it and we joke about it. And it's become our thing. And then, today we're both sitting here and we're starving. And I'm like, oh, this sounds good for dinner. And I'm always skeptical about what I suggest for dinner because I know that he has, like, a sensory tactile issue when eating. And I can respect that. And I try to be mindful of that when I think about things that we could have for dinner. Tonight, I suggested beef stroganoff. And he was like, that sounds really good. Great. But I don't like making it. His thought was, well, I can cook it. Right, but you won't cook it my way. And then, I realized there's that OCD thing again, my way, as if beef stroganoff can't be cooked any other way. And he's like, well, you could just give me the recipe. And it went from that to us cooking dinner together tonight. Which again, reminds me how he must feel. Not to mention, he went to Walmart with me, and he's pretty much sworn off going to Walmart with me because I can act a little ratchet when I'm in a Walmart. I embrace my Walmartness, and I twerk, and I sing, and I talk loudly, and I just have a good time at Walmart. And tonight, didn't change that. We went into Walmart. We thought we ran into somebody he thought he knew. We proceeded to ignore that. We did our shopping. We went in for cream cheese. We spent $50. It's a thing. This is why he and I don't go into Walmart very often. But we had a good time. I even at some point said, you love me. And his response to that was like, yeah, but you give me reasons not to. And then I respond, and yet you still do. And I don't think any truer words have ever been spoken. I am very much the cringe mom. I do things where he's just like, what the whole hell? Why? Because I can? But at the same time, as much as I know that I embarrass him sometimes, I know that if he ever had a problem, he felt like he could come to me. I know that if I said, let's run away, he'd go with me. We probably wouldn't actually run, because that is more athleticism than either of us would want to put forward. Nonetheless, we would go. I have a child that comes from a horrible background. No fault of his own. It's just been rough. And even in that roughness, he allows himself to love. Even in that roughness, he allows himself to be loved. And I think people underestimate how hard that is. Nowadays, we love everything. We love this show. We love this food. We love this. We love that, the other. Love has become so flimsy that we use it for everything. That when it comes down to seriously use it, what's the meaning? Do I love my spouse the way I love potatoes? That's actually a really good question. I really love potatoes. Do I love my spouse more than I love Mexican food? I don't know. I would gladly get in a white van for tacos. What is love? To me, love looks like the people in your life who keep showing up. It's the child who says, "Oh my God, you're so embarrassing, I'm never doing that with you again," and then does it again. It's the child who has no reason to talk to you and calls and says, "Hey, I missed you." It's the boyfriend who has everything in the world to take care of and still found the time to call me today. And when I was busy, just said, "Call me back later." Love looks so different for everybody. And yet we can acknowledge that it's this really huge feeling. We can acknowledge that it's a really important feeling. And yet, some of us have no idea what it feels like to be loved. I'd like to think that I know what love is, and I know what it feels like, but I'm definitely not an expert. And then there's those times that the little voice in my head creeps in and says, "Clearly you're not lovable. Because how can someone love you if your own parents didn't want you?" Oh, yeah, I guess that's true. If the first people in the world who were supposed to love you unconditionally had conditions and rules and regulations, or just flat out couldn't muster the feeling of love for you, what's the expectation of somebody else feeling that way? Then there's that whole, you can't love someone until you love yourself. Well then, I'm probably never going to know what love is. I'm not sure how to love myself. No one's ever taught me how to love. I know how to be proud of myself in certain moments. I know how to celebrate certain wins. Sometimes I even know how to be happy. But love myself? Ugh. That sounds difficult. I once had a kiddo look me in my eyes and tell me that she loved me enough for the both of us, and that she wouldn't lie to me, and I just needed to trust her. What do you do with that? A 13-year-old looked me in my face and clocked me. And then her peers around her agreed. It's amazing how there's this whole population of kids, of people who are supposed to be the hardest to be around, the most difficult to deal with. And they're the sweetest bunch. Yes, they are brutally honest. Yes, some of their slang is extremely weird. And yet, when they love hard. When they accept you, they accept you. When you're willing to listen to them, they will always listen to you. And I think that's what love feels like. It's that mutual respect. Tacos don't give me the same respect. They fall apart. I still eat them because they're delicious, but they don't love me back. Humans have the ability to do that. Dogs have the ability to do that. My dogs. I'm not sure sometimes if Nova loves me for me or the fact that I cook really good meals for her. But she's here. And let her think that I'm sad and she's going to be right by my side. Then there's Harley. Harley doesn't even know what it's like to not love. All she knows is that she sees you. And if she sees you, she wants you. And she's going to cuddle with you and wag her tail. Sometimes I wish people were more like animals. In the sense that we just wore our emotions on our sleeve. I would know exactly how you felt about me. And I would automatically assume I know how to make it feel better. That's what a dog does. They can see that you're afraid of them or you don't like them, and they still timidly walk up to you and say, hey, I'm a nice dog. You can pet me. I'll still love you. Unfortunately, that's not how people work. Unfortunately, some of us don't have a foundation of what that looks like. If I could go back and change things, I would have asked my parents why they had me. Mind you, my parents are still alive, but I'd go back and ask why they had me. What did they possibly think was going to happen having me and treating me the way that they did? What was supposed to be the outcome? Was I supposed to walk away loving myself? Was I supposed to walk away being proud of myself? What I did was walk away thinking I had to earn everybody's love and trust. And so for those who give it to me so freely and easily, I'm skeptical of them. Why would you do that? What do you want? What do you need? But today I didn't feel that. Today, I got to remember that people love you just for you. I got to remember that I'm important to people even when I don't feel like I am. And lots of the time, I don't feel that I am. I got to remember just for a moment that I don't have to give birth to a child to feel like a mom. I don't have to raise a child to be their mom. I simply have to show up for them in whatever capacity that they let me. I had 2 kiddos show me that today. I don't think either of them will fully understand what they've done for me. And I don't expect anything from them. But they heal something that's always felt broken. Maybe it's because I get to be the mom to them that I didn't receive myself. Maybe it's because I get to watch them learn and grow the way I've always wanted. Maybe it's because I see that they're hurting and they love anyways. But it changes me. It makes me better. So, my piece of pie today, hanging with my kid. Laughing, talking, joking. Talking with my other kid. Laughing and joking. Making plans for the future. That's my piece of pie. That's my reason today. I hope that you had a piece of pie today that made you feel loved. I hope that if you didn't, you remember that there's someone out there who loves you. It may not be in the way that you think that it is. It may not be in the way that you want it to be. But that doesn't change the fact that they love you. So, just remember, today is another page in the story. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be written. And before you close your journal tonight, ask yourself, what was your piece of pie today? Until tomorrow, love you loud.